the unassailable fortress. I have come to understand, through years of reflection and study, that the truest measure of a life well lived lies not in the adulation of friends, but in the reluctant acknowledgment of adversaries. As Marcus Aurelius observed in his Meditations, the opinions of others should concern us little, yet there exists a profound validation when even those who wish us ill must concede our excellence. The Stoics teach us that virtue is the only true good, and in this wisdom I find the foundation of my philosophy. Epictetus reminds us that we control not external events, but only our responses to them. When we align our actions with virtue, with wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance, we create an unassailable fortress of character. The enemies who seek to tear down this fortress find themselves, instead, standing in its shadow, forced to acknowledge its majesty. Plato's allegory of the cave illuminates this truth further. Most individuals, my detractors, my adversaries, live as prisoners, mistaking shadows for reality, judging by appearances rather than essence. Their criticisms and judgments are the arguments of shadow watchers. But the philosopher who has glimpsed the forms, who understands the eternal principles of good, beauty, and truth, acts from a higher understanding. This is where the great Platonic principle becomes my strategy. I must aim for perfection, for the form of the good, knowing I will never fully attain it in this imperfect world. This is not a paradox, it is the engine of excellence. By aiming for a perfection beyond complete realization, I achieve a higher result than if I aim for lesser, seemingly attainable goals. When I build my accomplishments not from shadows, but from relentless striving toward the forms, I bring illumination into darkness. Others may resist this light initially, may question my motives or methods, but they cannot logically deny the inherent value of what has been created. Their reluctant acknowledgement becomes the inevitable surrender of shadow before substance. The Neoplatonists expanded this vision. Plotinus spoke of the soul's journey toward the One, the ultimate reality from which all existence emanates. As we ascend toward this divine unity, our actions become increasingly harmonious with the cosmic order. There is a mathematical precision to a life lived in accordance with the highest principles, a geometric perfection that compels recognition, even from those who approach from opposing vectors. Immanuel Kant provides the logical structure for this philosophical position through his concept of the categorical imperative. Act only according to that maxim, whereby you can, at the same time, will that it should become a universal law. When I live by principles that I would willingly see universalized, when I treat humanity in myself and others, always as an end and never merely as a means, I establish an ethical framework that transcends subjective judgment. My adversary remains a rational being. Kant argues that beneath personal animosity lies the same framework of reason we all share. When confronted with actions built on principles of universal justice, an opponent's emotions may resist, but their rational faculty recognizes the integrity of such actions. Their acknowledgement is not personal approval, but a rational concession their own moral self is compelled to make. In acknowledging merit, they are not merely praising an individual, but affirming reason itself, and in doing so, transcend the limitations of personal conflict. I have found in my own journey that excellence pursued for its own sake carries an authenticity that silences detraction. When I act not for applause or advantage, but from devotion to principles that transcend my individual existence, I participate in what Kant called the kingdom of ends, a moral community of rational beings governed by universal laws they give to themselves. This is not to say that we should seek the approval of enemies. As Seneca cautioned, the approval of the masses is proof of mediocrity. Rather, it is to recognize that a life of such consistent excellence and integrity creates its own vindication. The enemy who must praise you has not converted to friendship. They have simply encountered a truth too evident to deny. Aristotle taught that eudaimonia, human flourishing, comes not from external goods, but from activity of the soul in accordance with virtue. When we cultivate excellence of character and apply it in action, we create a life that stands as its own argument. We become, as Plotinus might say, a clear mirror reflecting the divine light, a spectacle that commands respect regardless of the viewer's disposition. Therefore, I strive to live not for the praise of enemies, but in such a way that their praise becomes inevitable, a logical conclusion drawn from the premises of my actions. In this lies true freedom, to vindicate it not by opinion, but by the immutable laws of moral reality that even enmity cannot obscure. Zerga in synthesis with the philosophers.